And according to the National Bureau of Statistics, the total value of capital imported into Nigeria in the second quarter of the year fell to $1.03 billion from $1.13 billion in the preceding quarter, representing a 9% decline compared to the previous quarter. Let's get a sense of how to change this trend. Join us now for this conversation is Mr. Sonny Ofehe, Executive Assistant on External Relations and Diaspora Affairs to the Delta State Governor, joining me right here in the studio. Good morning. Great to have you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So, yeah, we keep talking about attracting FDI into the country. We've seen the trend. There's been a downward trend for the past 5 years, at this time. And we did see the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, Mr. Wale Edu. He acknowledged the lack of attractiveness, for FDI, into the country. So I'm wondering at this time, is the government thinking, outside the box now? How do we, maybe a situation where we grow GDP without FDI?
No, you can never grow GDP without FDI. I mean, if you want to grow your economy, you must, as a government, create a policy that can attract foreign direct investment into your country. And Nigeria has that capacity to do that, because if you talk of natural resources, if you talk of human capital development, we should be one of the best in the world. In terms of natural resources, we're one of the largest in the world. And also, in terms of labor, there is cheap labor. That could be another way you can attract investors to come in. But before you do that, you must look at your security issues. You must look at how you can guarantee those investments. And you can look at how you can secure those investments, most importantly, and ensure that those investments are repatriated back to the countries where the FDI is coming in from. Now, look at the airline, for instance. Today, IATA have said that there is a total of $2.2 billion of unremitted airlines funds to their various countries, and Nigeria is the highest. Of that amount, about $812 million are still unremitted by the central bank to all of the airlines. And this is a discouraging trend for whoever will want to come in here to do investments. And you must not also forget that we have security concerns, like what we see in the northeastern part of Nigeria, what we see in even the urban states, And so the condition today, it's not, Nigeria is not an attractive place. Now, I appreciate the fact that the president is going around, trying to woo investors.
He's been marketing Nigeria.
Yes, but while you market Nigeria, you must also show evidence that you're really in for business. And you must start by first dealing with the issue of these airlines. Now what has happened to Nigerians now when you travel? Nigerians tend to pay much more, 4 or 5 times more than, if you want to pay in Naira, more than when you have to pay in dollars. So if the system identifies your IP address as coming from Nigeria, it shuts your access into getting seats in this airline. This is another strategy the airlines are using to ensure that they don't get people to buy their tickets with Naira. And who is suffering? It's the people that are suffering from it. So you look at, for instance, if you look at countries like Botswana, when they gained independence, they were one of the poorest countries in the world. But thanks to FDI, they've been able to jump. And today, they are Africa's fastest growing economy, with a population size. And how did they get that? They got that from just one company, So there are areas with which we can bring in our FDI.
Right. But looking at where we are right now, we're seeing a downward trend right now with attracting FDI into the country. And if we're trying to be realistic, at this time, what kind of conversations are being had, right now to say, okay, this is where we are. What other options are there for us right now? Since we're not getting the amount of FDI we want, what can we do domestically?
Then you must look into some sectors, like, for instance, agriculture. We must grow our economy, particularly in the agrarian sector, from depending, for growing our economy to feed ourselves. Rather, we should look at how we can improve our agriculture to become an exporting country. That can also help you mitigate the effect of FDI, and then you must also look at our solid minerals. I hear in the news lately now that the government is beginning to put attention in that area. That's another area we should really put our investment in. Like, for instance, lithium. The world is gradually shifting from, normal fuel cars to electric vehicles. And so we can use our potential in lithium to attract, not just become an exporting lithium country, but also ensuring that companies like Tesla can come in here and produce the batteries here. So we can use our potential in solid mineral, to be able to attract these companies to come in here and do business, But first and foremost, you must deal with the issue of your security. You must assure the investors that, the place is safe to do business. And then you must also, most importantly, assure them that you have settled the challenge of funds repatriation when they come in here to do business.
I'm talking about doing business here too. It's really expensive, doing business at this point in Nigeria, having to, always budget for diesel, see how much, diesel has gone up. And we want to move from consumption to production
economy. Yeah.
What kind of synergy are we seeing in the various arms of government too? Because if we don't have constant power, we cannot produce. Mm-hmm. What kind of conversations are being had to create a synergy? So it's like a domino effect where we can actually get to where we want to be.
Yeah, you see, because we have challenges in all of these areas that you've mentioned, those are the areas that we're supposed to attract the foreign direct investments. There are so much funds available for alternative energy, for sourcing for alternative energy. We can attract companies to come in and look into that sector. But we must look at our fiscal policy. It's not just to bring in the companies here to do business. You must ensure that your fiscal policy is in line with international standards. And when you do that, you create this, confidence in the investors, because nobody is prepared to bring his investments to a volatile country, a country that is not safe, a country like, I'll give you for instance, when I come into this country, I fly Air France, and what they've done now is they consider Abuja to be an unsafe place, so their crew stops at N'Djamena. They change crew at N'Djamena. That's loss of revenue. I mean, Emirates Airline they stop flying at one time, and most of these airlines are threatening to stop because, like I said before, as we speak right now, it's more than 800 million of their money are still stuck in this country and not repatriated, and that is not a good sign. So you must look into several factors, and also when you bring in FDI, you don't have steady electricity. You have to deal with the issue of looking for diesel to power your business, and then you have to look at also the infrastructure. The infrastructures are not there, so if your FDI is connected to haulage, transportation, the roads, and we saw the terrible state of the south. The southeast, I don't know, the road leading from Benin to Port Harcourt. Yeah. We saw the state of that road on many social media videos that were shot. And so you have to correct all of this for you to be able to attract investors into the country. I came into this country a few days ago, and I came in with some investors. And the reason why I did that was for them to come and see, the country and meet the people. We have a diverse people who have the capacity to be able to support any FDI drive that comes into this country. But the government must do a lot in terms of not just going around and weighing investors, but ensuring that your financial condition is ripe, and most importantly, your judiciary.
So that means, in your opinion, before going out, let us sort out the issues,
Yes.
on ground
Yes.
before going out, so
Yes.
that when we go out, they actually see what they're coming for. So definitely, we shouldn't be looking just to the federal government at this time. The subnationals also have a role to play, in attracting, FDI
even the local
into
government.
their states, even the local governments up to that level. Talk to me about that. How are subnationals thinking about this whole FDI attraction?
Well, I think certain states have risen up to realizing that without FDI, they also cannot grow. I mean, NBS report in 2021 states that 24 countries out of 36 did not attract a single foreign direct investment. My state, Delta, attracted foreign direct investments, but it was a paltry sum of $1.1 million. That's small. So what the new administration is doing now is to ensure that we look into the potential of the states, we look into our solid mineral potential as well, we look into the oil and gas industry that has been with us since 1958. So we're beginning to rethink and rejig our approach to how we can expand our foreign direct investment inflow. And so we're also beginning to look at the potential of our diaspora community. And that is why, like you introduced me, I'm the executive assistant to my governor on external relations and diaspora affairs.
Right. I'm going to hear, about what you are doing, with that. But we got some breaking news coming to us right now. I see the former CBN governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, has been arraigned at the Federal Capital Territory High Court on a 6-count charge bordering on alleged procurement fraud. The original charge on the former CBN governor was 20 to the tune of 6.5 billion naira and has been reduced to 6 now to the tune of 1.6 billion naira. In the second count, Mr. Emefiele was accused of using his position to corruptly confer an advantage to Yaro, a staff of the Central Bank of Nigeria, by awarding a contract for the supply of one Toyota Avalon at the cost of 99.9 million naira, owing to April 16 Investment Limited, a company in which the said Sadatu Ramali and Yaro, director, and was thereby committed the offense. They was also accused of conferring corrupt advantage contrary to Section 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000 by awarding a contract for the supply of one Toyota Land Cruiser V8 April 16 Investment Limited in 2019 at the cost of 73 million naira. The fourth count was about a Toyota Land Cruiser V8 valued at 73.8 million awarded legally to April 16 Investment Limited. The FD further accused the former CBN governor of also awarding a contract to Yaro for the supply of two Toyota Hilux Shell specification vehicles at a cost of 44.2 million in 2020. That's a big one there. Mr. Emefiele pleaded not guilty to the 6-count charge, and Justice Hamza Muazu of the Federal Capital Territory High Court has adjourned November 2022 to rule on the bail application and 28th for commencement of trial. In the interim, he ordered that Mr. Emefiele be remanded at the Kuje Correctional Center. That's the breaking news reaching us right now. So, sorry for interrupting you there.
No, it's okay. No problem.
So, just to understand, because you've lived abroad, many years, and definitely, I'm sure you've learned a lot, out there. Talk to me about what we can expect from the Delta State government, from your expertise.
Well, we're doing tremendously very well. From the very day my portfolio was announced, a lot of Nigerians in the diaspora, not just Deltans alone, they've been reaching me via social media, direct phone calls, sending emails in. I must tell you that I am indeed very, very proud of our Nigerians, not even those in diaspora alone, but those who are also living here. Many of them have, gone very far in trying to do their bit to attract investment into this country. But unfortunately, majority of the government are not giving them the opportunity, to roll in this potential that they have, and we cannot rule out the diaspora community because in 2020, 2022 alone, the diaspora remittance to this country was $22 billion. That was the second highest after crude oil. And with that $22 billion is even majority of the ways with which we even remit funds now, because of the ease with which you can communicate with your banks, is by, I give you euros, you tell me the equivalent, and then if you have an account in Nigeria, you do a credit into my account. So what that means is that if we can have a means to measure such transaction and combine them as diaspora remittance, we'll be able to, double this figure that I've just mentioned.
Because right now the naira is truly weakened.
Yes,
this time,
yes.
And we've seen a lot of distortions.
Yes, and
in that market. So we need more. We need to attract more dollars.
Yes, and you can do that through your diaspora community. You can, but most of our diaspora...
How do we make them comfortable enough? And also, we keep talking about FDI, but what about the domestic investors? We're not looking at them at this point.
No, you see, you need an inflow of hard currency. You cannot rely... We have an internally generated revenue system already, and that system is not helping us. So we need to look outside of the box, like you said in the opening. We need to look outside of the box. And then in looking outside of the box, we need to tap into every potential that we have. Now, what we've done for Delta, for instance, our targets through my office is reaching out to investments that will also carry their own credits. Therefore, it does not put a financial burden on the states. So what is expected from the state is an enabling environment, possibly like a space. There's what they call the carbon capture these days. Most governments are not taking advantage of that. That's free money, where we have a lot of mangroves. So that is what we want to do in Delta State. We want to give away our mangroves, not give away, but we want to sign them up for a period of time and say, we want to preserve them,
right,
so that we can, generate revenue through companies that are polluting, like the mining companies, the airline companies who are donating massively into carbon capture funds. So we're looking at that. And then you have sovereign wealth funds of countries like Norway, Sweden, and in the Middle East. They're looking for areas not only to invest, but area to do some kind of corporate social responsibility as a way of... So today in Delta State, we've been able to attract, a cancer screening hospital that will be funded by the Swedish Investment Corporation. And then we're also looking at modular oil refineries, that will get funding from Norway, and this, if we begin to look in this direction, we will not leave the burden alone for the government to deal with big multinationals,
right,
because there are also medium-scale business, small-scale business that can also power and boost our economy back home through those remittances. And of course, if you create a synergy between the diaspora community and the government, you will definitely see an upsurge in FDI inflow into the country.
Right, definitely. A lot of work to be done there, and definitely subnationals have to play a huge part in that. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Mrs. Sonny Ofehe, Executive Assistant, External Relations and Diaspora Affairs
of the
Delta State Government.
Thank you.
Great having you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be looking at EdTech, that's education technology. That's in a moment. Do stay with us.